Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a head-to-head wheel and tire cleaner comparison video. Over the past month or so, I've been playing around with a lot of Armour Detail Supply products. Now I know for a lot of you out there, you've been playing with them for months, if not years at this particular point. And it's very hard as a professional detailer who works a full-time job detailing and then producing content to try absolutely everything out there. I'm limited on time capacity. I'm limited sometimes on the amount of products I can play with without completely confusing myself. So I actually met the owners of Armour Detail Supply, both Bradley and DJ, out at SEMA 2025 this year. Got talking with them a little bit, really enjoyed getting to know those guys a little bit more, hearing kind of their story a little bit, and actually playing with their products. So they shipped me one of every single product they actually have in their lineup just to play around with. They weren't expecting reviews. They weren't expecting me to make any sort of videos with. They just wanted me to play with them, give them some feedback. And what I've been doing both on camera and off camera is putting these head to head against some of my favorite products that I use here at the shop on both my personal vehicles as well as my customers' vehicles in my detail shop. So today we're going to be taking my top favorite wheel cleaner and tire cleaner and putting it against the Armour Detail Supply line of products with their tire cleaner and their dedicated wheel cleaner. So let's jump into the action here and see how these stack up. Before we get into our testing and head-to-head comparison here, I want to compare these on the desk. We're going to start off by looking at the price point of these products, talking about the different pH levels of these products and their dilution ratios, as well as when and why I would suggest grabbing one of these products, maybe over another one of these. Starting off here with Magic Wheel Cleaner. As the name suggests, this stuff is pretty much magic in a bottle. This is on the acidic side of the scale, coming in at a pH of 5.5, mixed with that acidic cleaning power in there. This is also a product that is going to react with all of that brake dust, those iron particulates, bleed it off of the wheel, so you get a kind of 1-2 punch, if you will, there. Now, unfortunately, you do have to pay for a little bit of that magic, and that's my one drawback with this product. This product is extremely expensive. For a 500 milliliter bottle here, retails at $20.99. A little bit more cost effective, but still very expensive for a 5-liter container or 1.32 gallon container, $140.99. Truth be told, this is not a product I use every single time. This is a product when I need that cleaning power I'm going to use, or when I'm looking for efficiency. Let's say I have a car coming in for a maintenance wash. Most of the time what I'm going to do is use an all-purpose cleaner in place of both of these products here, spray it on the wheel, also spray some snow foam, agitate it, you're going to be good to go. Magic Wheel Cleaner, again, good for that heavy 1-2 punch there, but also good for spraying on wheels. If you're trying to go through a wash quickly, you don't have time to deep clean your wheels, spray this on there, let it dwell on all 4 of them, rinse them, then move on to your actual washing stage. Moving on now to my favorite tire cleaner on the market, at least for right now. We'll see how ADS stacks up, but that is CarPro Retyre. This is a product that's going to go in there, remove all of that nasty tire browning, tire blooming, mold release on brand new tires, of which we have here on my Kia EV6. This is also going to break down some old nasty tire dressing, tire shine, and really help bring that tire back to new. Now this is a product that sits on the alkaline side of the scale at a pH of 12 to 14. So typically how you're going to use this has a foaming spray head on it. You're going to spray it on your tire, let it sit for a little bit, grab a scrubbing tire brush, go in there, agitate it, rinse it off, and most of the time you're good to go. Sometimes on really, really nasty tires, or some that has just layers upon layers of tire dressing, tire shine on it, you might need a second application, but this stuff is just the stuff. It is truly incredible. Now, it's not the cheapest product on the market, but I think sits very appropriately for the cleaning power of which this has. 500 milliliter container here retails at $17.99. For the 4-liter option, retails at $74.99. Now, one topic I quickly want to insert here is talking about the cleaning power and where these products sit on the pH scale. Now, as you just heard me talk about, this sits at a pH of 12 to 14. A lot of the times I see a lot of people use different wheel coatings out there and not really read the fine print of the pH resistance. Some of these wheel coatings I see out there, will be in terms of the pH resistance of maybe a 2 to 11, a 3 to 12, somewhere in that region. I think a lot of people are actually seeing early coating failure, especially on wheels, because they're using way too strong of cleaners. That'll be an interesting topic to talk about when we get over here to ADS's wheel cleaner. So understand that not all the time you really need that huge heavy punch. A lot of the times you can get by using all-purpose cleaners, but if you really need some serious cleaning power, this is my 1-2 punch. Moving over here now to Armour Detail Supply's tire cleaner. Now, very similar to CarPro Retyre over here, this is a product that sits on the pH scale of 12 to 14, but differently from both of these products, you actually dilute this product down. Both of these are used straight out of the bottle, where that's one thing that I really like about ADS's tire cleaner here is you can dilute it for the amount of cleaning power you need. Now there's two ways to purchase this: in a gallon for retailing at $44.99, or you can purchase this in a 16-ounce bottle or 500 milliliters for $10.99. It comes concentrated in the gallon, but in the 16-ounce container it comes at a 2-to-1 dilution ratio. Now for extreme tire cleaning here, you're going to use it 1-to-1, which is what we're going to use here today to give it a fair shot against CarPro Retyre. You can use it 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-4, depending on the amount of cleaning power you actually need. Lastly over here, let's talk about Armour Detail Supply's wheel cleaner. Very similar to Magic Wheel Cleaner and many other wheel cleaners on the market, this product has the same chemical component in there that's going to go in, break down those iron particulates, turn them purple, bleed them off of your wheel. But it is actually pH neutral, and they have done a phenomenal job at masking that skunk, that rotten egg, that sulfur smell that you get with many products like this. I absolutely love how well this cleaner over here reacts and does in terms of cleaning power, but I absolutely hate using this product. If you guys have used wheel cleaners and you know what they smell like, the entire shop smells like it, my clothes smell like it, I go home, I take a shower, it reactivates on my skin, you just nonstop smell like it for at least a day. I hate using this stuff. That's why a lot of people switch to alkaline-based wheel cleaners, acidic wheel cleaners, because you get cleaning power from the end of the scales there, and you don't have to deal with this smell. They've done a phenomenal job at masking that. Now that comes from using scents in here and comes from using very high quality ingredients that actually reacts with the iron particulates here. Now that does mean this product is a little bit on the more expensive side, specifically when you buy it in a 16-ounce bottle, 500 milliliter bottle. That retails right at $18.99. If you purchase it in a gallon form or 4 liters, retails at $69.99, and much, much more cost effective to do so. Can't wait to see how these work head to head, so let's get into our testing procedures. For our testing here, we're going to do a very simple head-to-head comparison. So on the front axle here, we're going to leave the wheel and tire completely dry. We're going to grab our solutions for the passenger side and driver side, and we're going to spray them on the tire, on the wheel, let it dwell, rinse it off, and then we're going to dry it. We're not going to agitate it whatsoever. I just want to see the cleaning power and touchless capability of actually cleaning this. Then on the back axle, we'll get to how we typically go in and actually clean our wheels and tires, rinsing them and getting most of that dirt and debris off, spraying on your tire cleaner, spraying on your wheel cleaner, and actually agitating. Now, importantly here, typically when I clean wheels, I'm going to add some snow foam to it. I don't want to add into that. I just want to see the pure cleaning power of this stuff here and compare them head to head. So I'll be sure to rinse out the brushes in my bucket of soapy water. So there is a little bit of pH neutral shampoo going in there, but understand we're not foaming it, doing it like that. So be pretty fascinating. Let's jump into the test. All right, so we'll start here on the front axle, our passenger side, using Armour Detail Supply. Again, we're gonna leave this dry, spray it on there, let it dwell, rinse it off, dry it, and then we'll do the other side and we'll compare the two. I just wanna do this to see the ultimate kind of cleaning power, axle to axle. They're very similar in terms of how dirty they are side to side. So I think this will be a really interesting, fair comparison. So let's start off here with our tire cleaner from Armour Detail Supply. You'll see that it foams up very, very nicely here. And we're gonna give this a very healthy amount of product on there to actually start working. You can immediately see that browning. Now let's come in here with our wheel cleaner. So again, I'm gonna try and get these about as even as I possibly can. I'm gonna really go heavy on this first initial layer because I just wanna see the cleaning power, and then we'll let these sit here until they're kind of dry, if you will. We'll rinse it off, dry it, move on to the next side. Figured I would bring you guys in a little closer here so you can see what it's doing. So first off, tires, you can see it's pulling all of that browning off, really pulling it off onto the ground there. Pretty nasty stuff going on there. The cleaner is a little strong. It actually smells very similar to CarPro Retyre, so I'm really anxious to see how this goes back and forth. But moving on to the wheel cleaner here, one thing I really like, not only the smell, this is a phenomenal wheel cleaner in terms of smell, but one thing I really like, it's a very viscous product, so you can see it's been sitting here for a while, but it very much clings to the wheel. So it doesn't necessarily just run off of the wheel. It's actually sitting there doing its job. So you can see the caliper up here. Look at the actual rotor there. Just got some additional spray on there. But you can see on the caliper there, just eating away all of that nasty brake dust. You can see a little bit in the barrels as well. You can see turning bright purple inside there. So yes, electric cars do get some brake dust, but again, this is one test I wanted to do because I don't only want to see how it does in terms of iron, I wanted to see how it does in terms of some really dirty wheels, because that's one thing I see a lot. A lot of these iron wheel cleaners don't really have great cleaning power against some more stubborn dirt and grime, mag chloride, things like that, where I'm curious to see how this actually looks. So we'll let this sit to the point of I feel comfortable. Obviously, this is not something you want to use on Hot Wheels or in direct sunlight, stuff like that. You want to be very mindful. You don't want to let it dry, but it is very nice that this is a pH neutral cleaner on here, so I'm less worried about that. And again, it's just so impressive. It's sitting in there just eating that away and not just immediately bleeding off of the wheel. All right, so we have now dried off the wheel, dried off the tire, and again, this is not how you would normally use these products. Normally, you would rinse off the wheel and tire, spray them on there, go to town scrubbing them. I just wanted to do this to give myself a good idea and you viewers a good idea of how clean you can get things without even touching them. And I gotta say, the wheels, of course, aren't perfect. I'm not expecting perfect. I don't expect perfect on Magic Wheel Cleaner, but I'm reasonably impressed with how much it brought back. And honestly, you could come back in here now, foam this down, and literally take a microfiber to it, and I'm sure it would come right back to perfectly clean. Tires are interesting. Up here looks really, really good. I am seeing some kind of white staining over here. And again, this is not the way you're intended to use this. Normally you go in there and scrub it down and release a lot of that tire browning off of there. But pretty interesting how over here turned a little white, must have dried a little bit. We'll come back in here and clean this after the video. But overall, decently impressed. Again, just want to show you this versus the back wheel, which is less dirty. But you can tell how much dirt and grime is all over that and how brown those tires are. I would say it did a pretty reasonable job for doing what this is not necessarily intended to do without any sort of agitation. So next, let's move over, do our Magic Wheel Cleaner in CarPro Retyre, dry it and compare it. All right, so driver's side now. Pretty much looks exactly the same. Tires are about the same dirtiness here. Let's come in with our CarPro Retyre. This is one thing I don't love about this product is the actual sprayer of it. The press-alls that I was using on the Armour detail supply stuff is not how they come. Obviously, they come with actually very similar sprayers to CarPro dilute bottles. But as you can see, it's a little bit harder to get on there, but it does foam very nice. So I'm going to try and get this pretty similar saturated here. Again, I want to give these a very fair comparison. I think that's probably good there. We'll let it kind of drain. Magic Wheel Cleaner here. You can see this stuff, very viscous as well. And there comes the smell. It's not bad. It's not as bad as something like Geon Iron Wheel Cleaner or some others out there. It's definitely more pungent though than ADS. So we'll see how this does. Again, you've got a little bit 1-2 punch there. You've got the acidic cleaning power, and then you've also got, yeah, the smell's coming. Not a great smell, but it's not as bad again. But then you've also got that iron particulate remover. can see it up here. Let's let this sit here. Let's see how it does. We'll get a rinse down and dry it and compare the two. All right, so I want to bring you in here for a little bit closer look. You can see in some of these areas, turn a little purple, same in the barrels as well. A little bit harder to see on black wheels, of course, versus silver. But again, you can still see a little bit different color there in that iron removing chemical in there. Pretty intriguing. You can see this one is viscous, but it is really starting to pull it off of the wheel. And CarPro Retyre, honestly, man, they look very similar. They also smell very similar. I really don't like the sprayers on these. If I'm typically using this, I would use it in a press-all. Again, you could argue that that changes it, but you can see it's all spread out here. It's turning it nice and brown, really pulling that off. Interesting too, I feel like I sprayed similar amount on the actual rotor. This one, you can see it's kind of dispersed quite a bit more. So really liking how viscous Armour Detail Supply is and not super runny. Not saying I don't like Magic Wheel Cleaner here. This is still really impressive clean time here as we're going on, you know, well over 3 minutes now, but looking pretty good. And I'll try and time this out pretty similar to ADS over there to rinse off. All right, Magic Wheel Cleaner on the back of the bottle does say to wait 2 to 5 minutes on here to let it dwell, do its thing. I think we're about at the same exact point. You can see the tires, so we're at a good point to actually rinse this off. Just want to quickly give you a refresher course before we look at the front wheel. That is what it looks like before, tires before, pretty nasty and grimy. Then we come up here to the Magic Wheel Cleaner and CarPro Retyre side. And I gotta say, I am seeing a little difference. Now, do understand this is not a 100% fair test. One wheel might be slightly dirtier. This wheel, of course, Magic Wheel Cleaner did not get all of that kind of slip solution, that residue that they put to actually get the tire on the wheel. So a little bit unfair advantage if you're looking at this. That's what that is actually from. Now, looking at the wheel face, I do particularly think this side looks cleaner. Is it a big difference? Absolutely not. Looking at the barrels in here, you can definitely still see a film. This is not 100% perfect. Again, Magic Wheel Cleaner is really impressive, but there are some limitations here. Of course, if you had coated wheels and not just Geon Wet Coat, a simple spray on sealant on this, it would probably clean this wheel substantially better, but that's why I don't coat these wheels. It's because I want to see what it actually looks like. Now, I do see a big difference, that being said, between the tires. The tires on this side really honestly looked like I scrubbed them down. You'll notice there is not as much white residue. There is this one little spot over here that just has some excess dirt and grime. Overall, though, that tire is impressive. Again, these are brand new tires. These are actually slightly older tires. You can see they're a 41st week of 2023. These were supplied by Nokian. They are actually a sponsor of Out of Spec, so I got these from them. And yeah, they're a little bit older, but they were really brown, really nasty, and I'm impressed without even touching those what they look like. So again, take a look at that. Then let's come over here to the ADS side. And yeah, I would say there's a little bit more film, but it is not like mind-boggling where one is way better than the other. I would say barrels look pretty darn similar. Just the face of the wheel definitely has quite a bit more film on it, but I do see, again, like I was talking about, a huge difference in tires. This tire could have been slightly dirtier. Some areas actually look pretty good, but pretty interesting test there. And yes, also need to remove the wheel weight tape. I physically have not had time. I dropped this car off to get the winners put on. I have just been nonstop running. So what do you guys think? Is there a noticeable difference there? I think it's pretty minimal. I wouldn't say it's completely different. So moving now on to the rear end, we're going to rinse this off. The passenger side is going to be our ADS side. The other side is going to be Magic Wheel Cleaner and CarPro Retyre. So we're going to rinse it off. We're going to spray our solutions on there, get our bucket of pH neutral soap with all of our brushes, go in there, clean it, see if there's any noticeable difference. Again, the agitation in there should get these wheels pretty much 100% clean. That's why I wanted to do this test to see if there's any noticeable difference. We've got our wheel bucket over here. I have chosen Koch Chemie Gentle Snow Foam for our soap in the bucket. Again, I want to add some lubrication on here so I don't completely destroy the wheels, but I'm going to, once I finish this wheel, I'll dump out the bucket, wash out all of the brushes. I'll fill it up with a brand new GSF just to keep the test fair here. So let's rinse off the tire, let's rinse off the wheel, we'll spray our solutions, let them dwell for a little bit and get in there and start scrubbing. That should be good. Didn't need too much, so let's hit the tires first. Again, love how this stuff foams. You'll see it, boom, immediately turn brown. So much more pleasant to use this than Magic Wheel Cleaner. Now, I did say that Magic Wheel Cleaner kind of stunk. I wouldn't say it's horrible. Again, it's not as bad as many others on the market, but it is noticeably, yeah, a little bit on the stinky side. So we're gonna take our tire brush here. I'm gonna let this sit for, I don't know, 15, 30 more seconds, then I'm gonna get to scrubbing. All right, you can definitely tell it's starting to get a little bit more noticeable white there. So I'm gonna grab my wheel face brush out of here. Again, this is one of the things, there is some human error involved here. I'm gonna try and do these as evenly as humanly possible, but understand I'm not a robot. And yeah, so get all the spokes here. Nice smell of GSF in the air. I do like GSF. I don't know if I love it though. Video coming soon on it. All right, let's go ahead and hit the barrels here. So you can definitely tell you have a lot less cling time on here when you spray water down first, which is, of course, pretty common. Some people use wheel and tire cleaners very differently. Some people like spraying them down. Some people like actually having an additional snow foam on the actual wheel. I'm just trying to keep it consistent and even here and not try and add too much solution to actually clean it here. I'm also going to come in here, hit right behind the spokes. This is nice because I get to film a video, test it, play with new products, and also get clean wheels in the process, which is very much welcomed. So we're lastly going to come in here with our, what is this called? The Rag Company Incredible Wheel Mitt, something wheel mitt, I don't know. This thing's freaking awesome though. Really like this thing. Instead of just chucking microfibers every single time, can get nice behind the spokes there. Number one thing I think you guys can probably see here, you can see the water behavior on these wheels are totally different from the front ones. That's because we actually went in there, agitated it, and the protection is still protecting under there. And that's one of the really nice things about having this that is actually a pH neutral cleaner. If you have something like a sealant on there, or, you know, instead of using a super high alkaline cleaner or super high acidic cleaner on here, it's going to leave that protection there. A lot of these spray sealants, you use something like Brake Buster, some other heavy alkaline cleaners, it's going to immediately go away. And again, that's going to degrade your coating over time. So really impressed with how this is looking. I expected nothing but this, but yeah, pretty nice. So I'll dry this down. I'm going to change out the bucket, rinse all the brushes out, fill it back up with GSF, and we'll switch to the other side. All right, I'm gonna come in with Retyre and deal with this yet again annoying sprayer. Again, I know that's not super fair because I use the press alls on the Armour detail supply. I get that, but yeah, all good. Come in here with Magic Wheel Cleaner. Definitely already smell the smell. Again, it's an interesting smell. I wish I could explain it. If you guys haven't smelt this before, yeah, it's got some real rotten egg and sulfur scents to it, but they've got kind of almost a cologne smell to it. It's way better than a lot of other ones out there, but just again, really, really interesting. So I'll let this sit for a few seconds and we'll get to scrubbing. All right, so pulling off that browning here, let's come in, start scrubbing this down. Ooh, I'm almost getting an ammonia smell right now. I don't know what that's from. All right, I think that's probably a good, fair enough scrub on the tires there. You can see turning white again. Now, CarPro actually says to do this, you should, basically scrub it until it's fully white. I just want to keep this kind of even here. So again, we're going to come in with our wheel face brush. Wow, really don't know where I'm getting that ammonia smell from. Whew, pungent. Trying to remember order of operations here. I think I did lugs next. Probably making chlorine gas here with these two, making this ammonia smell, or I guess ammonia, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I just detail cars for a living, smell chemicals for a living. So I do my thing. Barrels, that sounds right. Again, Magic Wheel Cleaner says, let it dwell 2 to 5 minutes. They actually don't even specifically say agitate. But I want to keep it fair, yet again, so I don't want to let this sit longer than the other one. I think this is how most people clean. They're not sitting here for 5 minutes and then come in and actually scrub it. So we're going to grab our other detail brush. Still impressive how much brake dust comes off an EV6 here. I mean, I'm not one to sit on full self-driving and do all that stuff. Not that this has full self-driving, but I really like to drive my cars and drive them hard. So why the heck not? Come back in here, trying again, do this exactly the same as the other side. All right, looking good, ready to rinse. Okay, interesting stuff going on here. So again, Geon wet coat on all the wheels. I am noticing way worse water behavior here, especially in the barrels. So that's pretty intriguing. That could mean we didn't unclog the wheel as much, or that could mean that being that this is more acidic, it's actually starting to break down that protection we had on there. So very interesting distinctions between both of these two. I just want to quickly show you this one more time. So you can see sheeting a little bit, especially inside the barrel there. Definitely not beating up as nice as the Armour Detail Supply side. So let's get this dried off and then I'll show you the final results side by side. All right guys, so we have made a nice little mess of my floor here, just cleaning up the wheels and tires, but some pretty interesting distinctions here. So I want to show you the results. So again, this is Armour Detail Supply side. First thing, let's start off on the wheel. Looks absolutely perfect, barrels perfectly clean. Really, really impressed with how dirty these were and how little effort I put into these. I didn't spend a ton of time. I took longer than I normally would because I'm on camera talking, kind of thinking about what I'm gonna say. You could clean these wheels in 2 minutes flat, good to go, rinse them off, they're gonna look like this. Really, really impressed with it. The other couple of things that brings up some notes here on this wheel cleaner, being that it's pH neutral, and being that when I actually clean this car, I try to do the same thing to everything. So when I, do tire dressings, I do all of them at once. When I put sealants on it, I do the whole car at once. And I did the same thing with the wheels here. And again, being that these are on the back axle, you could see that this one clearly had better water behavior than the Magic Wheel Cleaner side. And that's one big benefit to this wheel cleaner, is that it is pH neutral. Again, going back to that conversation we had earlier, I think a lot of people get outside of the limitations of their ceramic coating. Now understand, it's not to say that if you have a coating that has a pH resistance of, let's say 2 to 11, one time you get a 14 pH on there, the coating's destroyed. It's not that, it's more like it's degrading it. When you have something like a sealant on here, those chemicals can degrade it rapidly and much more quickly, to the point of sometimes it'll just immediately remove that. We'll see that sometimes with certain pre-washes, some acid soaps on paint. If you do like a ceramic sealant, it can strip it off like that. And that's kind of the intent of what that product is doing. So keep that in mind when you're selecting your wheel cleaners, and yes, even tire cleaners as well. Keep that in the back of your head. Maybe, diluting stuff down more and not getting so aggressive all the time, or simply choosing a different wheel cleaner might be the way to go. So big positives for me that this is pH neutral. Did a phenomenal job cleaning the wheel. It just looks absolutely perfect. I really like that this stuff doesn't smell, but also has a chemical in there to break down those iron deposits all over the wheel. This is a huge, huge, huge thumbs up to me, and something that I would consider using more often on maintenance details, because yeah, honestly, a little goes a long way with it. It is on the more expensive side, of course, than using all-purpose cleaner, but I feel like it does a really nice job at breaking down that brake dust. And again, importantly, it's pH neutral. So big thumbs up for the wheel cleaner from Armour Detail Supply for me. Now, tires here are a little bit different story. Now, truth be told, I played with this tire cleaner off camera a little bit. I used it at the strongest dilution here, the extreme, because I wanted to compare it to CarPro Retyre. The thing that you're seeing here, though, is there is still some dirt and grime on this, and it almost seems to me like maybe the tire cleaner was a little bit either too strong or wasn't cleaning this enough. So I think that's pretty interesting. Again, noting this, that we rinse this down first, which would kind of dilute it, sprayed it on there, scrubbed it. Now coming back to here, as this has dried out now, you'll see pretty much the exact same stuff going on here, some of this white coming out. I'm not worried about that. I can always come back and clean that. But yeah, really interesting distinction. So kind of my thought process here is, we probably use it a little bit too strong, but again, they do say it's safe to do that. I just don't think it gave us a great result. I would say the tires either need another scrubbing, or kind of where my mind goes to, it was a little bit too aggressive for the tires. And yeah, I didn't even think we let it dry it on there. Coming over here though to CarPro Retyre and Magic Wheel Cleaner. First thing I think you notice, let's stay on the topic of tires, CarPro Retyre, the best in the business. I would say this tire arguably was actually dirtier than the other one, and that is one scrubbing and looks pretty much perfect. I would put tire dressing on this immediately and call it a day. That is why I love CarPro Retyre. Again, remember, these products should not be necessarily all the time one or another. CarPro Retyre is not something I would use every single time you wash your car. It's not needed. Use an all-purpose cleaner. Heck, even use something like Armour Detail Supply tire cleaner, diluted down maybe 4 to 1, 3 to 1, or maybe even 2 to 1. There's some more fine tuning and playing I need to do here with. But yeah, CarPro Retyre, man, this stuff is phenomenal. It's the best tire cleaner in the business. Absolutely love it, bar none. Now, Magic Wheel Cleaner here, I think, as you can see, did a very, very nice job. The wheel looks brand new, looks exactly the same as the other side. I see zero differences, other than the fact that the water behavior on this back wheel, not as good as the passenger side with ADS. So again, going back to using a little bit more acidic, more alkaline cleaners, if you don't have something that's super strong in terms of protection, like we had Geon Wet Coat here, it can start to break that down quicker. And I don't feel like it's the case of it didn't unclog it or didn't get it clean. I just think that it's a little bit stronger. It's not super acidic, but it's definitely stronger. And for something like this, it's probably not gonna last that terribly long. But again, I sprayed those at both the same time. So really, really interesting distinctions here. So I guess what I take away from this video, I'm not saying Magic Wheel Cleaner is no longer my favorite. I just think I would probably rather use something like Armour Detail Supply's wheel cleaner. I think it smells a lot nicer. I do think in general it's a little bit safer overall. And I'm really impressed with it. Really impressed with it. And it's also a heck of a lot cheaper, especially when you buy it in larger quantities. So really like that. Now, again, I think Armour Detail Supply's tire cleaner didn't do the job that I necessarily expected it to. I did expect a little bit better on this. Again, even using it at their extreme dilution ratio there for deep, heavy cleaning, that's what they say on the back of the bottle. I think CarPro Retyre clearly did a better job. But again, that doesn't mean that I'm going to never use that product. I think it makes sense as a maintenance product. So that is why I like testing in videos like this. I think it's really interesting. We can really do a deep dive. Again, this is not a channel, guys, that you're gonna see 30-second TikToks and make a conclusion for you. I like to go into the weeds. I like to tell you what my mind as a professional detailer is thinking, doing these tests like this, so you guys can make more informed buying decisions. So in general, all 4 of the products we use today, I very much recommend, some more than others, but I think there is a need for them in my detailing arsenal. So all 4 of them are gonna stay in my detailing arsenal. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you found this informative and really interesting like I did myself. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.